Let me tell you something that no ACCA tutor will say on camera. Most students who fail audit exam actually work very hard. They do the past papers, they attend the lectures, they make notes, and still they fail. So clearly, the problem is not the effort. The problem is something more deeper. And in the next few minutes, I am going to tell you exactly that. If you are just starting audit or you have attempted it before, this video will completely change your outlook on this exam. Here's the first one. And I promise you, 90% of the students make this mistake. So tell me, when you open an audit textbook, what do? You read the definition of audit risk. You memorize the components, inherent risk, control risk, detection risk. You write it down, you move on, right? That is exactly how you fail. The examiner doesn't want to know whether you have memorized the definition of inherent risk. What they want to know is, can you spot it in a real life scenario? Let's take an example. You have a scenario in front of you. Let's read that scenario together. Zara Limited is a pharmaceutical company. It launched 3 new drugs this year. Revenue has grown 40%, but cash flows are negative. The CEO owns 35% of the company. Now, a normal student would read this and think, all right, pharmaceutical company, got it, let's move on. But an audit trained brain, this is screaming with red flags, guys. New drug, high regulatory risks might mean inherent risks are high. Revenue has grown, cash flows are negative, might indicate revenue manipulation, might lead to fraud risks. CEO owns 35%, might indicate management override risk. That is how you train. That is how you are supposed to read an audit scenario. Not like an accountant, but like an auditor. And this shift in thinking, most students never make it. Why? Because the tutors are not telling them how to think, only what to memorize. This is important for the exam, do this. This is not important, leave this. That is exactly how you prepare to fail. Every student I've spoken to who failed audit exam tells me one thing. Sir, I have done so many past papers. Then I ask them a question that what do you do after you check your answer? Silence. That is the problem. Most of the students use the past papers as a testing tool. But the real difference, the ones who pass, treat it as a learning tool. Let me give you an example and let's do this practically. Suppose you are doing a full fledged question on audit procedures for inventory. Now, you try and attempt the question, you write 6 points, you check the answer has 12 points, and you score around 50%. And you say, okay, not bad. Let me move on to the next one. Absolutely wrong. Look at the 6 point you missed, not the ones you got right. Focus only on what your brain failed to generate here. Think about why I was not able to write the next 6 points. Ask yourself why you missed those points. Did you not know the concept? Or did you miss reading the scenario carefully? These are two very specific problems and very different ones with two different fixes. Rewrite each answer from scratch without looking. Force your brain to reconstruct the logic. Don't just reread the answer, actually write it again. And after 3 days, come back and attempt it again. blind. This is called active recall with gap analysis. It is the single biggest separator between a pass and a fail in audit. But here's something even more specific. Something the examiner report literally says, and almost nobody sees it. And I am reading it right now. The ACCA examiner has written word for word here that students lose marks because they give generic audit procedures instead of scenario specific ones. And I have shown it practically on your screen right now. See, two different answers, same concept, but completely different marks. The second answer shows the examiner, I have read the scenario, I have understood the risk, and I have applied it. Give me the marks. Are you starting to see why hard work alone is not sufficient? Now, the third mistake, and this is one of the most heartbreaking one because the students only realize this in the exam hall. Stay with me. Picture this. It's exam day. Section B, 30 marker case study question. You've prepared well. You start writing. You fill 3 pages. You feel good. Then the results came. You scored 11 out of 30. How? How? Let me tell you how. Because most of the students misunderstanding how their answers are actually graded. Let me give you an example. You are answering an audit risk question. You have identified some audit risks. Now you need to write it down. You need to type it down. Now here's the structure. For identifying, you get half a point. Just half a point for identifying. And then the remaining half for explaining the risk and its impact on, let's say, the financial statements. So you get 1 mark here. And the other 1 mark is reserved for your response. That's how you score 2 marks for each audit risk that you identify and you write the response for. Just follow the IRIR framework. Identify the issue, identify and explain the risk, tell what is the impact on the financials, and what is the response. Right? So that is how you score marks. And I have seen students getting from 38% to 58% just by changing the answer structure. If you think this video helped you in any way, pass it on to one of your friend who is preparing for ACCA audit.